Me! No!
Amy was jogging through the woods. She had no idea that a pickup truck was quietly following behind her. Startled, Amy immediately ran toward home, but to her shock, she realized the men inside were the same workers renovating the house next door. When they saw Amy coming, sinister smiles crept across their faces. Terrified, Amy dashed back home and told her husband David what had just happened, but instead of comforting her, David blamed her for dressing too revealingly. Amy was stunned. She was the victim, yet not only did her husband refuse to stand up for her, he even accused her of causing it. Furious, Amy threw open the window. Then she unbuttoned her shirt, letting her graceful figure show. The men across the street froze, staring in disbelief. Their eyes were filled with a disturbing hunger, but as Amy closed the window, she had no idea that misfortune was already on its way. David, who had been writing at his desk, saw the whole thing and stormed out of the house in anger. He decided to take a drive to cool off, but ran into those same workers on the road. Trying to be polite, David waved at them. To his surprise, the workers slowed down on purpose, blocking his way. David didn't know what to do. Then, one of them suddenly waved for him to pass. Relieved, David smiled and stepped on the gas. He didn't realize it was all intentional. Even after nearly getting himself hurt, the timid David still smiled and said he was fine. Afterward, he stopped by a diner to calm his nerves, but fate played another cruel joke. The workers were there too. Anyone else would have avoided them, but David, always eager to please, did the opposite. When he paid for his meal, he even covered theirs, yet his kindness didn't soften them. Instead, it only made them think he was weak and easy to push around. Later that night, David returned home. He went to the closet to grab a clean shirt, but the moment he opened the door, his face went pale. He quickly slammed the door shut. Seeing his frightened expression, Amy immediately sensed something was wrong. She rushed over to check and was horrified to find their beloved pet hanging lifeless in the closet. Amy's first thought was that the workers had done it, but David hurried to calm her, saying she shouldn't jump to conclusions. Amy was speechless. Those men had crossed the line, and David was still blaming himself. Furious, Amy pulled out a handgun she had hidden under the floorboards. The argument between them lasted until the next morning. Finally, under Amy's insistence, David agreed to invite the workers over and figure out who was behind it. To avoid suspicion, he told them he wanted to learn how to set animal traps and successfully got them to come. But when they arrived, David froze, unable to say a single word. Then Charlie, the crew leader, invited him to go hunting the next day. David didn't want to, but too timid to refuse. He reluctantly agreed. Hearing this, Amy stood up angrily and stormed off. The men's eyes followed her as she left, filled with wicked amusement. And yet, David still didn't realize how serious things had become. The next morning, they drove out as planned to pick up David. However, halfway through the drive, David realized that Charlie hadn't come along, but being easygoing, he didn't think much of it. Soon, they arrived at their destination. They suggested that everyone split up and search separately, but David, having never been hunting before, had no idea what to do on his own. He could only wander aimlessly through the woods. Suddenly, he heard noises around him.
You okay, man?
David knew they were doing it on purpose, but he didn't dare say anything. Even more terrifying, Charlie had quietly arrived at his house. Amy was at home, taking a shower, when a sudden, urgent knock came at the door. Amy, puzzled, went to check. She opened the door and found it was Charlie. Amy had no idea why he was there. She tried to close the door, but Charlie used his foot to hold it open and forced his way inside. He then pressed Amy against the wall, and she suffered Charlie's assault.
No! Charlie, no! Stop it! Charlie!
But it didn't end there. Another construction worker entered the room, and Amy fell into complete despair.
Charlie, get off of me! Me! No! Stop it!
Meanwhile, David had no idea what was happening. He realized that the construction workers had vanished, clearly leaving him behind on purpose. Helpless, David could only start walking back home. When he returned, he had no idea what had happened inside.
Firing him.
Good for you.
Amy called David a coward. Hearing this, David immediately became furious. He felt his wife could say anything about him, but she could not call him that. David didn't realize how much shame Amy had just endured because of his weakness. After this incident, Amy became depressed and withdrawn. David decided to take Amy to a ball game that evening, hoping to lift her spirits. But as soon as Amy sat down, she saw Charlie and his group there as well. This instantly brought back that unbearable memory, and she couldn't help but break down in tears. David didn't understand what had happened, so he quickly led his wife out of the area. Meanwhile, cheerleader Joey had developed a crush on Norman at the stadium. The two sneaked into the locker room to be alone. Just as they were about to do something, Joey's coach and father, Henry, suddenly appeared. Fearing they would be discovered, Norman covered Joey's mouth and nose, trying to keep her quiet, but he pressed too hard and accidentally killed her. Norman panicked and ran, only thinking about saving himself. But as he ran out, he was accidentally hit by David's car.
You okay?
Luckily, he only scraped his arm and was otherwise unharmed. The hospital was a bit far, so David brought Norman back home to treat the wound. When Charlie learned of this, he deliberately provoked Henry, telling him that Norman was hiding at David's house. A group of people immediately rushed toward David's home.
Amy! Is that Niall?
Finding no one inside, Charlie quickly grabbed a shotgun from the car. Facing this, David knew he could not just sit and wait. He quickly heated 2 pots of oil, preparing to fight back.
Hey, man.
Amy was terrified as she heard explosions outside. Then, a thug smashed a window, trying to climb inside. David grabbed a nailed gun from the table. Screams echoed as he fired, but he was no longer afraid.
Alright, let's end this. Yeah.
Amy immediately started shooting from the window. Hearing the gunfire, David ran upstairs, urging Amy to stay away from the window. A thug hiding below heard the commotion and quickly brought a ladder to sneak in through the window. At the same time, the front door had already been forced open. As Charlie aimed his gun at David, Amy aimed hers at Charlie from behind. Charlie calmly told Amy the gun was empty. Finally, Charlie was caught by a trap that clamped around his neck. At that moment, Amy began to see her husband in a new light. As the saying goes, a cornered dog will jump over the wall. Even the weakest person, when pushed to the edge, can unleash incredible strength.